Prince William is no longer the patient, forgiving brother the public once thought him to be. The days of olive branches, private attempts at reconciliation, and polite silence are gone. Behind the walls of the palace, William has grown firm, his stance unshakable, and his vision for the monarchy no longer includes Harry. What once seemed like a family feud has transformed into a structural issue for the crown. William has made it clear that this is not about sibling rivalry or hurt feelings, it is about the long-term survival of the monarchy. He believes Harry's presence within the royal fold, even in a limited role, creates instability, blurred boundaries, and confusion about what the monarchy stands for. The future king's view is straightforward. There can be no halfway measures, no partial reconciliation, no room for ambiguity. If the institution is to endure, it must be clean, secure, and free of risks, and that means a decisive separation from Harry and everything he now represents. The fracture, according to insiders, traces all the way back to a single moment on Harry and Meghan's wedding day. In front of millions watching across the globe, Meghan Markle walked past Queen Elizabeth II without offering the traditional curtsy. For the public, it may have seemed like nothing, perhaps nerves or simple forgetfulness. But for those steeped in royal traditions, it was a shocking break. This was not a matter of etiquette alone, but of symbolism. That curtsy was rehearsed, scripted, and expected. By not performing it, Meghan was seen as signaling defiance, whether intentional or not. And more importantly, she did it on the most important stage of her life, the day she officially joined the royal family. To William, and to many others in the palace, this was not a mistake, but a revelation. It was the first and most powerful sign that Meghan had no intention of respecting the monarchy's rules or its traditions. That moment, small to the public eye, set in motion a chain of distrust that has only deepened over the years. William's interpretation of that wedding day incident went far beyond Meghan herself. What struck him was Harry's silence. Harry stood next to his bride, allowed her to pass the Queen without curtsying, and said nothing. For William, this was not just about Meghan breaking protocol, it was about his brother enabling it. Trust, once fractured, was not restored. If Harry could allow such a public slight to their grandmother, the Queen, then what else might he overlook behind closed doors? From that moment, William lost faith not only in Meghan's intentions but in Harry's judgment. He saw his brother as complicit, too weak or too willing to let Meghan lead, even when it meant undermining the crown. This was the seed of suspicion that grew into full distrust. Every move Harry and Meghan made after that, the relocation to California, the deals with Netflix and Spotify, the Oprah interview, the memoir Spare, seemed to confirm William's worst fears. Harry was no longer aligned with the royal family, and perhaps never would be again. As time went on, William no longer saw Harry and Meghan's actions as isolated missteps. Instead, he recognized a pattern, a repeated choice of drama over duty, publicity over privacy, and personal gain over family unity. Moving abroad might have been tolerated. One explosive interview might have been excused. Even a critical memoir could, in theory, have been forgiven. But the consistency with which Harry and Meghan turned their lives into a public narrative, often at the expense of the royal family, left William convinced this was not temporary rebellion but a permanent break. To William, their actions became a roadmap of rejection, rejecting the traditions of service, rejecting the monarchy's discretion, and rejecting the silent loyalty that has preserved the institution for centuries. The monarchy, in his eyes, could not function with individuals who simultaneously profited from it and attacked it. The pattern was clear, and it only confirmed William's conviction that Harry and Meghan no longer belonged to the royal future. Today, William's vision for the monarchy is sharp and uncompromising. Reports suggest that a high-level meeting is being arranged, involving only the most senior royals, King Charles, Queen Camilla, William, and Catherine. At the center of that conversation lies a difficult but unavoidable question: what to do about Harry? William's proposal is drastic yet firm. He wants more than just an informal distancing. He is pushing for structural changes that would phase Harry out completely, stripping titles, cutting privileges, and ensuring there is no return path left open. To the outside world, this might seem harsh, but for William, it is not personal, it is practical. The monarchy cannot afford blurred lines, half-in or half-out arrangements, or uncertainty about roles. By closing the door entirely, William believes he is safeguarding the crown for the next generation. His plan reflects not bitterness, but a calculated move to preserve stability in the face of ongoing risk. For William, the risk is embodied in Meghan Markle herself. He does not view her as a misunderstood outsider overwhelmed by royal pressures, but as someone who from the beginning rejected traditions, kept control over matters usually entrusted to the crown, and ultimately monetized her experience for global attention. One telling example came with her wedding dress, which Queen Elizabeth reportedly never saw in advance. To many, this might sound trivial, but in palace culture, it represented a startling break of trust. Every royal bride traditionally shared such details, offering the Queen a courtesy glimpse of the gown. Meghan declined, signaling once again that she would play by her own rules. Combined with the Oprah interview, the lucrative media deals, and Harry's memoir, the message became clear to William: Meghan was not simply indifferent to royal tradition. She was actively rewriting her narrative at the expense of the family. Accepting Harry back would mean welcoming Meghan too, and for William, that is unacceptable. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, finds herself aligned with William yet cautious about the severity of his approach. She fully supports her husband's determination to protect the monarchy, but her instincts are softer, more conciliatory. Catherine has long played the role of peacemaker, quietly trying to keep the family from breaking apart completely. She worries that if the monarchy strips Harry of titles and privileges and slams the door permanently, it will create regrets that can never be undone. She sees the risk of a future where the brothers no longer speak, the cousins never meet, and the monarchy is remembered not for unity, but for division. Her voice is one of caution, urging balance and reminding William that family bonds, once severed, cannot always be restored. While she shares his sense of urgency, she quietly fears the long-term consequences of a permanent break. Harry himself is beginning to feel the cost of exile more deeply than ever before. Sources suggest he has realized his children are growing up without any connection to the traditions, relationships, or rhythms of the royal family. They don't know their cousins, don't attend royal gatherings, and have no place within the family structure. For a man who once lived at the heart of this world, the realization is hitting hard. Whether out of nostalgia, guilt, or strategy, Harry has reportedly been making efforts to reconnect, reaching out to King Charles, seeking opportunities to visit, and pushing for private meetings. But his motives are met with skepticism. Is he genuinely longing for reconciliation, or simply seeking to regain legitimacy and status for himself and his children? This uncertainty makes the palace wary. To them, Harry has become unpredictable, a wild card whose intentions can no longer be trusted. King Charles is caught in a delicate balancing act. On one hand, he feels the instinctive pull toward family unity, the desire to maintain bonds despite the fractures. On the other, he understands that the monarchy's survival depends on strength, clarity, and discipline. Many believe that despite his personal feelings, Charles will ultimately defer to William's judgment. As the heir and the future king, William's vision carries immense weight. Charles knows that his reign, however important, is temporary compared to the legacy William will shape. If William is convinced that phasing Harry out is essential for the crown's stability, Charles is unlikely to stand in his way. This is not an easy choice, but it is one Charles may feel obligated to make. In doing so, he acknowledges that the monarchy's survival outweighs even the deepest family bonds. The defining moment looms ahead. With Harry scheduled to return to the UK for the Wellchild Awards, palace insiders say tensions are running high. The royals are nervous, not because of what Harry might say in person, but because of what he might reveal later. Every interaction, every meeting, every glance carries the risk of being spun into headlines, interviews, or the next chapter of a book. Trust has evaporated, and without it, the royal family cannot risk private encounters. Behind the scenes, William is drawing firm lines, no more half measures, no more blurred roles. The monarchy's future must be clear, stable, and protected from ongoing drama. For Catherine, the cost may be emotional, for Charles, it is political, but for William, it is structural. His vision for the crown cannot include Harry, Meghan, or the uncertainty they bring. The monarchy is his responsibility now, and in his mind, survival requires clarity, starting with a final separation from his brother. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.